Hello everyone, this is Couple Books. Welcome back to A Couple Books. My name is Couple, obviously. Today is super exciting. The reason why today is super exciting is because before we get into the video, we're going to be drawing the name for the winner of the book raffle. I was doing a book giveaway so that people could celebrate with me in the super exciting thing of passing 50 subscribers. So I have a hat full of names right here. I've got like 8 names or something like that, 8 or 9 or 10 names, I don't know how many. I just wrote them down on pieces of paper and they're all in here without trying to like have them fall on my hand so I see names accidentally. They're in the hat right now, and so we are going to draw a name randomly from this hat, and then what that person needs to do is then they need to go online and they need to go to their email, and then they need to type in the following email address, acouplebooks@gmail.com, and they need to email me saying, "Hi there, couple. This is whoever wins, and I won, as you know." You don't say these exact words, but just email me. Let's start a conversation. I'll get you your book, and it'll be super exciting for all of us. So let us pick a name out of the hat. Oh, names are falling out. Okay. Okay, see, can we see? Oh, focus right there. Of course, it's backwards for you guys, but C.E. Oldham. I apologize so much if I mispronounced your name. I know I checked out a few of your videos, which I'm super excited about. But anyways, you won. So what you need to do is you need to go down and email me, and we will get you your free book. Okay? So I'm super excited for this. So thank you everyone that joined in. It was super nice of all of you guys, and I'm so sad that not everyone could get a book. Fortunately, I'm broke. So not everyone will be getting a book, but I'm excited for the one person who is, and we'll be doing this again. So as soon as we get to 100 subscribers, we'll be doing this again for sure, if not something else on top of it. So this is very exciting. So now let's move into today's video. Today's video is all about LitRPG. LITRPG. Yeah, there we go. Whatever, it's fine. I can't speak English. So today we are going to start off with basically, first of all, like a history of the genre and what it is, and then some series to get you started if you're so interested. I accidentally fell into this series rather recently. I read King of the Wild, and I kind of got into a weird Google searching Wikipedia hole, as one does, and I also was looking into the new Ready Player One book, Ready Player 2, as is its name, by Ernest Cline. Nicholas Eames wrote Kings of the Wild, by the way. Between the two of those, I ended up kind of going down Alice's rabbit hole and ended up falling into the LitRPG genre, which is not super new, but it is newish and newer than other genres within fantasy. It's like a newer subgenre. So I just wanted to kind of introduce you guys to it in case you guys didn't know what it was about, and then give you guys kind of a pathway to learn more about it if you guys are so interested and so inclined. But let's get started. The history of LitRPG genre. So it's accredited to a few different people who is the father of LitRPG or mother of LitRPG or gender neutral founder of LitRPG. It is mostly, from what I found through my various Google searches and researching, it's mostly credited to D. Russ, who is a Russian writer. Now you may be saying, oh, is that where it started? No. So it would appear that MMORPG novels, later coined like LitRPG, were started in South Korea mostly, and over time kind of found its way into Russia, where authors such as D. Russ, V. Mahanenko, is how I think you pronounce it, and D. Mikhailov. I'm so sorry, I mispronounced all of those. I'm sure I did. But those three authors, who are all Russian authors, fantasy writers, they were all getting published through EKSMO Publishing, which is the biggest publishing house, or was the biggest publishing house at the time, and they published their novels through them, and that publishing house coined the term LitRPG. And D. Russ is kind of considered the father of subgenre of fantasy and sci-fi. and in fiction. So from there, it's kind of was in Russia, and this all kind of happened during the 1980s. It's all good. It's all good. And then over time, through a popularity of other things that has happened in America, and America kind of being a mixing pot of a lot of different things, it slowly made its way over to America and into the English world, or English book world. With that happening, we have now had in the 2000s and 2010s, we've had now the rise of LitRPG in America. And this LitRPG genre is a very interesting genre. It kind of combines fantasy and sci-fi to a certain degree, and has created this fantastical new thing that I'm really in love with. You may be saying like, oh, I've heard that there's another person credited with LitRPG, which you would not necessarily be wrong. And that would be Aleron King. So sorry if I mispronounced your name, Mr. King. But he wrote The Land Founding, which is the first book in the Chaos Seeds series, which is LitRPG. While I can't say he is or isn't the father of LitRPG, I've just also found him to be a very prominent figure when it comes to basically the prevalence and recognition of LitRPG in America. So with that, that's kind of the history. And now we're in 2020, and it's a thing, and it's happening, and it's out there in the world. It's getting better known day by day, and we've had some pretty popular books come out that are semi-lit RPG, and we've also had TV shows that are lit RPG, and that's kind of driven up its popularity. At the moment, from what I've gathered around and talked with a few authors and stuff, it seems to be happening very much so independently. A lot of books are getting published independently and not going through big publishing houses, which for whatever the reason is, I could not begin to fathom, but that is happening. So because of that, you're also seeing a lot of different ideas out there, and you're seeing a lot of different shapes happen within this lit RPG subgenre, which is super exciting and super fascinating to me as someone who loves reading and loves seeing different kinds of things happening. It's really fun to see all this going on. That's basically a brief history of it. With whether or not it makes sense, I'm so sorry. But now, what is actually lit RPG, you may be wondering? Well, lit RPG is quite simply a world where, or a novel, where in this novel, the main character is a real life person. Of course, this is all taking place fictionally, so a fictional real life person who, in their world, there is a real full-on, fully immersive virtual reality MMORPG world. So there is like a world that is completely virtual, and it is a game that, due to technological advances, people are able to be immersed into it and be able to have full range of their senses and basically be able to live the game. Another key aspect of lit RPG is that a majority of the book is going to take place in this game world. Most typically, from what I've seen, this game world tends to be fantasy, medieval style, but it doesn't have to be. It could be sci-fi, spaceships, exploring space, futuristic, but most typically I've seen it more so in the medieval fantasy area. As well, what makes these books distinguishable from other books that may follow some of these similar tropes is that this book will typically have quests, NPCs. NPCs are non-player characters, so basically like not real people in the game that are just aspects of the game world. Quest items, achievements, leveling, those types of things. So if you've ever played a game like a Skyrim, any types of Elder Scrolls, or basically if you've ever played like a video game where there's swords and slashing and monsters, then you kind of already have a starting ground. So now take that and make it fully immersive, make that full real life. So like you as a player could put on a headset and go fully into that world. Now you basically have an idea of what is lit RPG. And there seems to be 3 rules that need to be followed in order for something to be considered lit RPG, right? And those rules are, number 1, the protagonist / story has to be primarily in this fully immersive virtual reality world. Fine. The second rule is that interactions have to take place between other players, like other real life people, fictional real life people in the game world, and non-player characters, NPCs. And lastly, there has to be experience points, quests, skill points, spells, items, those types of things, game things. So if you merge all three of those together, you have LitRPG. Now, in terms of where else it can go from there, I'm not an expert on this, so I don't know where else it can go. I imagine many different places. You yourself might be saying, wow, I've never read a LitRPG book. This sounds so interesting. Well, I might surprise you by saying that there is a book that a lot of us have probably read that is a LitRPG book to a certain extent, and that would be Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Now, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline is, in a sense, a LitRPG. Why, you may ask? Well, quite simply because you're following our main character, right? And we're introduced to him in the real world, where it's in the future, and basically America's gone to crap, and he's just trying to get by. His school's online, everything's online, and then here's the opportunity in this virtual reality world to go online and basically complete these quests and basically win ownership of the game, of the Oasis as it's called in the game. So we have this character, and majority of the book is in this virtual simulated game world, right? So that's following the first rule. The second rule is that he interacts with NPCs and with players. So we know he does because he's interacting with his other friends who are also trying to complete the quest that is the primary storyline of the book. And he also interacts with NPCs, such as the librarian, which if you guys have read the book or seen the movie, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then lastly, as well, there is quests, which we know there's the whole quest to be the top player and win ownership of the game, right? There's also, for a brief few moments, they talked about skill points and character design and that kind of thing. So in a sense, or not in a sense, and if we follow the rules that we've established, then it is a LitRPG book. So there you go. You guys have probably already gotten introduced to the genre. So that is LitRPG. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this, I will be having a few links down below. But if you also want to know what types of books there are to maybe get your feet wet and get into it, I will be doing a separate video on books that I have myself read and really enjoyed, and I have a few that you may not have heard of just by finding top 10s. I just wanted to introduce you guys to 4 or so series that are out there currently that you guys can pick up today and get started in this world. The first series I'm going to tell you guys about, which would make sense since I just talked about it recently, is a series by Aleron King, which is The Land Founding, which is the first book in the Chaos Seed series. And this is basically follows our main character James. In this world, there is this company called Danger Zone Industries, and they've released a fully immersive VR RPG, virtual reality role-playing game. In this world, James basically gets in there expecting it to be just a typical game, but he kind of finds out that it's not, and it's a full-blown killing, fighting, trying to survive game, and it's no joke, and it's quite, in the sense of it being a game, it's quite serious and quite intense for him, and it was not what he was expecting or what his friends were expecting. And along his journey, he finds out that there's this huge battle going on between goblins and sprites, and then as well there's this whole journey that's taking place in terms of this woman who is enslaved and her journey to freedom that he's helping her along with. And then as well there's this crazy king who is kind of putting pitfalls and obstacles within the game, and he has to navigate through those. But it's a very popular series. The author is supposedly fantastic. He has been called the father of LitRPG, so that has to mean something. So from what I can gather and from what I've heard, it's supposed to be a fantastic ride. It's supposed to be a fantastic book. And it seems to be a pretty solid place to start off with this genre if you're ready to jump into a full-on LitRPG book. The second series I would like to recommend is the series that I'm currently reading, which is Ascend Online by Luke Chmilenko. This series is basically follows our main character Marcus, and Marcus and his friends are avid gamers. They're super gamers. They're in the futuristic world. It's the year 2047, where due to how society shaped out and due to technological advances, most of them are out of a job, and they spend most of their time gaming. And Ascend Online, this company, comes out with this fully immersive game, as we're seeing is common in this genre. And him and his friends join up and they go into this world, and their friend, the main character, Marcus, gets separated from them, and he ends up getting sent to this small town that's way out of the way of his starting point. He wakes up in a small town after starting the game, and he basically finds himself in the middle of a goblin invasion. And he has to run out nude, and has to fight off these goblins and try and protect the NPC villagers from the invading hordes of goblins. And after that, he kind of becomes the savior of the town, and from there on we follow him on his journey of leveling up and gaining experience and completing quests while waiting his friends to come join him at his unintended starting point. It's been so far a really fun ride. I really enjoyed it immensely. The third book, or third series I'd like to recommend based on what I've read, is Awaken Online, not Ascend Online, Awaken Online, Catharsis, which is the first book in the series by Travis Bagwell. And this follows our character Jason, and in a similar sense, he's living in a world where this company has just come out with this VR game, and he decides to sign up thinking that's going to be, the standard saving damsels in distress, being the hero, saving the world type of scenario, right? He logs on and finds out that's not at all the case. This is very much more realistic than he thought it was going to be. It's a real power contest. It's a lot of fighting. It's really gore-filled. It's not at all him being the hero and saving the world. And in fact, he might have to come to terms with the fact that he's actually the villain of the story to a certain degree. And he doesn't get to follow the storyline he expected, but he's just kind of pushed down this blinding path as he explores this new world. So once again, a highly recommended series that I've read about. Okay, the last and the fourth series I'd like to recommend is Survival Quest, which is the first book in the Way of the Shaman series by Vasily Mahanenko, which is considered and credited with being one of the founding fathers of LitRPG. This is a world where in this virtual reality world, it's not just a virtual reality world for people to sign up for and go play a wonderful game and explore and get super powerful and level up and be amazing, right? It's not just that. This world, this virtual reality world, is also utilized for prisoners. So if you've committed a crime, you can actually end up being put up into this virtual reality world to serve out your sentence. Now you're like, that's kind of crazy. That's very interesting. I thought so too, hence why I included it on this list. So we basically follow our main character as he's thrown into Barileno, as I think is the world is pronounced. And in Barileno, he must serve out his sentence by becoming a miner and just mining day after day after day after day. And we follow him in his quest as he kind of, I don't know what happens since I've read the book yet, but as he goes from being a prisoner to, I assume, something pretty exciting since there's a book about it. So it's got to be good. And since it's one of the fathers of this genre, it has to be pretty astounding and has to be a pretty amazing place to get started in this world and in this genre in general. So those are my 4 series that I recommend you guys hitting up first. I will be doing another video to talk about what I've been experiencing in the genre so far and some of the books that are not on this list that I think are absolute great reads. I've been starting conversations with some amazing authors and people out there who are working in this world, and I'm super excited to talk with them and share with you guys some of the things I've learned from them. So stay tuned. I hope to continue this conversation with you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what are your guys' thoughts on the genre. Where do you think it's going? Have you guys picked up a LitRPG novel yet or a series yet? Are you guys going to? Let's talk about this. Let's figure it out, people. Don't forget to like and subscribe because this is super exciting and I'm super excited to be on this journey with you guys. So let's do it together. But that is all I have for you guys today. This has been LitRPG. Don't forget CE to message me, and also let's get going, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are, okay? Talk to you guys later. This has been Couple. Bye.